Welcome to the Lions Den. Today we'll be discussing the Lions' 34 to 31 victory over the Green Bay Packers, as well as previewing their 4 o'clock matchup on Sunday against the Buffalo Bills. All right, Drew, you want to start it off? Any thoughts about the victory on Thursday?
I think everybody's gonna go to the Dan Campbell decision at the end, like
Yeah.
probably most people would or should. Um, you've been hearing mixed reviews all over mainstream media, and of course, you've heard Emmanuel Acho and
Which should be
you've heard
disregarded.
Teddy Bruschi. Yeah, really. And honestly, as a Lions fan, I kind of expected them to go for it. I mean, like I think we're kind of on a default setting now. Like even that one he went for, I think, and he didn't get it on our own 30. I remember thinking, I'm like, I think we should go for this. Like even me as a Lions fan, and it's like I think realistically we have the chance to get any first down on a fourth and one. I
Yeah.
realistically believe that because again we have the best offensive line in the league. We have two of the best running backs. We have the best running back tandem in the league. I mean, I think that one fourth down just didn't work out because it was a pitch. I mean,
Yeah, the play call was atrocious. They do that. They do that a lot. They do that pitch on like third and short and fourth and short a lot, and it almost never works. I don't know why they do it.
yeah, I just think it was the play call, and honestly, when they didn't get it, I didn't really feel like the game was out of reach or it was out of balance. I mean, I was like, you know what? Well, we're just gonna have to play defense. And when they scored a touchdown, I'm like, yeah, that sucks. But I just had the optimism, I guess, of a delusional Lions fan to win that game. But I think I just have so much faith in Dan Campbell to like make the aggressive decision when he needs to make it. And I think this is the right. I mean, it was the right call because I mean, again, you have the best offensive line, and at that time, you were driving down the field and your offense was rolling. I mean, when your
Hmm.
offense is rolling, just keep going with them.
Yeah.
So anyway, other than the last, the last portion of it, our defense was really holding their own in the first half. I was really impressed by that, especially by
Yeah.
guys like O'Connor and Muhammad. I mean, you had guys stepping up all over the place.
Can I interrupt
So
for a second? Because I
yeah,
wanna I wanna talk about the fourth down too. So
yeah, yeah,
the fourth down decision. So like I think he was 4 of 5. So he was 80% from fourth down. And for those who don't know, we were talking about that one where they went for it on like their own 30, the one that they didn't convert. And like you said, I don't think either of us had a problem with the decision to go for it. It was more just a play call. But I don't know, like I, Dan Campbell is he's just like playing. He's like playing a different game than the rest of the NFL.
yeah.
It's really amazing. Like I'm not sure if we'll talk about this game coming up because we're playing the Bills, but in the Rams Bills game, McVay in the fourth quarter was they were leading by 3 and they could have kicked a chip shot field goal to go up by 6, and McVay went for it on like fourth and one, which is like McVay never does that. McVay might be the least aggressive coach in the NFL. And like I think
Yeah.
that kind of shows you like I mean he watched Dan Campbell be aggressive in 2 straight games, back to back in the playoffs in week 1 of this year and beat him. And I think he's like rubbing off on the other coaches in the NFL.
Yeah.
I was like, I just like, I do this a lot. I just like look up a name on Twitter, like a player or something like that, and see what people are saying. And I do that with Dan Campbell a lot because I want to see what the people are saying. And I mean, like, the consensus of like actual analysts over the league is that like is was saying what I was saying is that like he's just playing a different set of rules from anyone else.
Yeah.
And really, it's amazing and it pays off. Like you live by the sword and you die by the sword. You turn the ball over on your own 30. But I mean, like the net, like it's a net positive by far. Like everyone ripped on him in the NFC Championship game, but like I remember seeing a stat that he was like his fourth down decision making like benefited his team or like yeah fourth down decision making benefited his team way more than like triple more than any other team in the NFL. So like
Yeah.
I don't know. And another thing is I mean the big thing was that fourth and one from when they could have kicked a field goal to go ahead with 40 seconds left. Like that was a big decision. Um I told you this. I think it was funny because Al Michaels, of course, is an old school announcer, and Kirk
Yeah.
Herbstreit is more of a college guy. So when they trotted the offense out there, they were like, "Oh yeah, they're just going to try and draw them off sides." And I was like, "No, they're not. They're snapping
Nope.
this ball. They don't usually like they sometimes you rarely see them try and do that. Like if they're lining up, they're going for it. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I completely support the decision because like you got to think about your personnel too. Like the
Hmm.
Lions are more likely to convert on that specific play because they have David Montgomery, who, I mean, behind Derrick Henry might be the best like bruising running back, like between, you know what I'm saying, like short
Yeah.
yardage running back in the NFL. And then they ran it behind the right side, who is Frank Ragnow, Kevin Zeitler, and Penei Sewell. Those three could be your right side of a first team all pro line. Like
Yeah.
I mean, you saw that Goff tripped and Montgomery, like the hole that he was able to run through. I mean, it wasn't even close.
Yeah.
Like he didn't get touched until like 4 yards down the field. So yeah, I don't know. I'm passionate about this because like I feel like a lot of people might criticize them or like, and I've seen people saying that like, this is gonna bite them in the playoffs. So be it. I mean, this is how you play. Like the Lions have
Yeah.
won so many games off this aggressiveness in the Dan Campbell era. Like I like
Hmm.
oh double digit they like double digit more than double digit games because of his aggressiveness. So like,
Yeah.
if the NFC Championship happens, that happens. That was down to player execution. As much as people like to rip on Dan Campbell, like all the plays were there. Josh Reynolds couldn't catch it. That was the problem. But like, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, the people ripping on Dan Campbell, they just like, I don't know. I just like this aggressiveness has paid off time and time and time and time again, um, throughout his career, and like I'm fine with it because it gives them an advantage that no other team does in the NFL. I mean, like I said, they play on 4 downs. They play with 4 downs while every other team plays with three. So
Well, I
I don't
mean,
know.
the
That
biggest
that
debate on this, I think, is like I've been hearing just is it consistency or is it variance in your play call? And it's like I think when you go for variance, I mean, you can kind of make the case for every play call you make that, it was justified. But I mean, I love that Dan Campbell's consistent. And I think that's what the players love. Because Dan Campbell's not out there running the ball for 1 yard trying to get, the first down. It's the players. You need to get your players to get that first down. And I think Dan on that one, that fourth down call by, at his own 30, um, he was just gonna punt it, but then Jared Goff wanted to go for it. So it's kind of like now you got your players invested,
was that his
and
own. Was
that's really
that
what
was that
turns
the
the
one at his
tide.
own 30, or was that the one? I
I
think
think
that I
it was
think I think that was the last play that you're
that
talking
was the
about.
last one.
Yeah, which
Okay.
is something I was going to bring up. But yeah, you can continue.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I think people are just too in the numbers, and I mean, it's statistics are perfect for situations like these most of the times, but I mean, you don't have computers out there running the football for one
Yeah.
yard. You have players, and people are complex people, So you're gonna need to motivate players to get across that first down line every single time they get out there. And I think that's what Dan's been able to do perfectly and best
Yeah.
out of any coach in the NFL.
Yeah. What you were referring to, I think Richard Sherman was saying this because he's on the panel. I saw him saying that they were going to kick the field
Yeah,
goal, and Goff said, "We got to go for this." And Dan was like, "Okay, I believe in my players. If my players want to go for this, I'm going to go for this." Which just like speaks, I mean, like I can't understate how awesome that is.
yeah,
Like this is why like Dan Campbell's ultimate players coach. I mean, yeah, the post game speeches and all this, but like he's not going to be stubborn. He's like coaching with his players, like he's not he doesn't think of himself as above the players,
yeah,
like I don't know. And yeah, like you got to like I said, you got to think of the personnel because the Lions can convert that play way more than any other team in the NFL, like that
yeah,
fourth and short play. Um yeah, I don't yeah, I it was risky for sure. And another thing I'd like to add is that it's hilarious to me that like the person that changed like the NFL and fourth down decisions, it's Dan Campbell. Like the league hasn't caught on completely, but I think in 10 years, I mean, there's going to be more guys like Dan Campbell than not. And the best thing is it's not
Yeah.
an analytics nerd. Like he's not using analytics. And I love this because this is what I've been a proponent for, is that he just goes off, it's vibes. Like he just
Hmm.
goes off vibes. Like the reason they went for it is if they had a healthy defense, I'm not sure they go for that. They go for that
Yeah.
first down. I think they kicked the field goal, but just like the way that things were going, the defense was breaking down. They were injured, like they looked depleted in the second half. Like he wanted to put that game away. You know what I mean? And like
Yeah.
that's like I think that's way more effective than analytics. Analytics it doesn't account for game flow, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that with the way the game was going for that on fourth down was a totally acceptable decision, regardless of what the analytics say.
Hmm.
All right. Anything else you want to add about that?
I think I'm just gonna cut it there because we have some more stuff to get to.
Yeah.
But I mean,
All right.
just to say, great decision by Dan.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't. I mean, I understand. I can understand both decisions. I could
Yeah.
understand kicking it, but I totally understand going for it because 40 seconds is a lot of time in the NFL, especially for a good quarterback
Yes.
like Jordan Love to drive down the field.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, they could have got that. Yeah, they could have got field goal range in 2, 3 plays. They didn't have any timeouts, but you can run 2, 3 plays. Yeah.
Yeah.
I came out with a victory. All right. Any individual performances, anything that you would like to touch on?
I mean, I first have to go to Tim Patrick. Like, me
Yeah.
and you were anticipating just one touchdown from him. I mean, I didn't think he'd get two. And the fact that, he had six receptions, 83 yards, like, that's a heck of a game from him. And JMO himself even got, I think, I don't have it off the top of my head here, but I think he had over 80 yards. So
Yeah, he had a
it's
really good
it's
game.
awesome that we don't have to rely on Amon-Ra every single game. And I think that's just another testament of strength of this team. And I think another one for me is that's really important, especially for this game, was Dan Skipper. I mean,
Yeah, he played really
you
well.
have you have a really good tackle, Taylor Decker out, and you need to fill him, and he did a perfect job, especially when he's post game puking in some receptacle.
Yeah.
That was pretty funny. But yeah,
Yeah.
these guys are stepping up, and I think that's what's important about this team right now, more than anything. So I was really proud of these guys in this game.
Yeah. I saw a stat about you're talking about distributing the ball. I think Jared Goff was the first quarterback in NFL history to have five or to throw five or more to have six players with five or more catches in a game.
That's
There were six
insane.
players, yeah. JMO, Laporta, Patrick, St. Brown, Montgomery, and Gibbs all had either five or six receptions. So yeah, you talk
Jeez.
about distributing the ball, and that's huge because as much as Amon-Ra is a number one first team all pro receiver, like it's such an advantage that you have other guys, like it's not just focused on him. Like the ball could go
Yeah.
anywhere at any time. Yeah, you mentioned Skipper. Here I have the stats right here. Let me pull it up. He had he had 44 pass blocking snaps and he allowed one pressure. He had a bad holding call at the beginning of the game, but I thought he played really well. He's played a lot better than I thought he would, to be honest.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. All right. Goff in this game. Like the thing with Jared Goff is that like I've talked about this with my friends who aren't Lions fans because they're kind of Jared Goff haters. But like because of Goff's reputation, because of what happened with the Rams, like no matter what he does, it's never going to be viewed as good. Like
Yeah.
for example, this game he was 32 for 41 with 283 yards, three touchdowns of 109.7 passer rating and a pick. And all I see is people talking about the pick. Like it was a bad pick, but like he was like almost perfect the rest of the game. Anyway, that's just
Yeah.
something that I have to get off my chest. But like Goff was, I mean, this was one of he's had so many good games this year, but this was a really like yeah,
I
this
mean,
this
he
was an
led
awesome game
this
from him.
game. Like he
Yeah,
led them to victory, especially
yeah,
when our guys, our running back tandem was getting under four a carry. I
yeah,
mean, you need your quarterback to shine in those moments, and he did. props to
Yeah.
Jared Goff in this
Yeah, I
game.
think he was like 10 for 10 in the fourth quarter or something like that. He was almost
Jeez.
perfect, if not perfect in the fourth quarter. So once again, I mean, we've seen this consistently this year. Him in the fourth quarter, man. Like in the Houston game, I think he was like 8 for 8 or something. He was crazy efficient on like the final drive or two, even in the Houston game where he threw 5 picks. This is the best this is the best version of Goff that I think any of us have ever seen. You know,
Is
even
it
when he
better than
was back
last
with the
year?
Rams. Yeah, I think it is. This is how I judge it by when I like with Goff, when he used to drop back and look around, I used to get kind of nervous. Like
Yeah.
now, I mean, last season was better, and but he still had a couple bad games. Like both Bears games, the Packers game was really bad, Thanksgiving game. Now, the Houston game was like the only bad one, and like even that, I mean,
Yeah.
that was kind of like it's most of the intercept, only
The
like one
interceptions were a
interception,
little fluky. Yeah.
only one of the interceptions you could like completely blame on him though. Like
Yeah.
I don't know, I can't say enough good things about Goff. I feel, like I was pretty sure I was happy with that contract. Like I was, 50 million for, a not like all pro guy. Like, it is what it is, but now I'm like completely fine with it. I mean, he elevates this team, which I don't think a lot of people realize, but he truly does elevate this team. I don't know if there's a quarterback that can operate this offense better than Goff does. I think some can do as
That's
well, but
fair.
the way that Goff operates this offense is, I mean, he's the most efficient quarterback in the NFL. I don't even think it's close this season. So yeah, gotta give props to the quarterback. All right.
Hmm.
Um, you mentioned this earlier. Pat O'Connor had a really good game. He had a couple plays where he just jumped the ball perfectly. And for those who
Yeah.
don't know, Pat O'Connor, he is a defensive lineman that we pulled up from the practice squad. He was drafted by Bob Quinn. I was looking this up, and he was on the Lions practice, or yeah, he was drafted by Bob Quinn and in like 2017. So he was with the organization before, but he's kind of been off and on the Lions practice squad. But yeah, he was really good this game. He drew a key holding too, I believe. Um, yeah, I mean, this is going to be a theme is that a lot of guys that you didn't think would contribute were really big this game. Uh,
Yeah, for
another one,
sure.
another one is and a not so great note is Broderick Martin. He was really bad this game.
Yes.
He had a
I
play
mean,
where
did you see that goal line? That
yeah,
goal
that's what I
line
was going to bring
carry?
up. He
Oh
just
my
got completely,
gosh.
he got blown off the ball. Like that's
Jeez.
unacceptable from a nose tackle.
Yeah,
Good thing we'll talk about later. It sounds like DJ Reader's going to play. So
that's good.
yeah.
We need
All
that one.
right. Yeah. Yeah. All right. A couple linebackers I'd like to highlight now. First is Jack Campbell. I'd like to have a bigger discussion about Jack Campbell too. Jack Campbell, he had 8 tackles in this game. He had an 85.6 PFF grade. That's the highest of his career. I think Jack Campbell's going to be a Pro Bowler this year,
Really?
and yeah, I think he's like ninth in the league in Pro Bowl votes in the whole NFL. And
Really?
yeah, I mean
I
he's
didn't
been
know
amazing
that.
this year. Yeah, I mean another thing
Jeez.
is like I mean all the numbers are inflated because Lions fans are voting everyone, but Campbell is I think he's like the eighth greatest or eighth highest graded linebacker in PFF out of qualified off-ball linebackers. And I I think he's gonna get all pro votes too, from
Really?
what I've seen. Yeah. I mean like I
I
don't
mean,
know.
I just think he's a
I can't
guy
believe
that
I can't believe where we are with this guy. Like,
I just think he's a guy that hasn't gotten too much attention. That's why, like, I'm legitimately surprised by that. I mean, I think he
yeah,
deserves all the props he needs, but dang, it just doesn't seem like people are talking about him unless if like, he has a running tackle and that's it. It's
yeah,
like, I mean, had no clue that he was getting Pro Bowl votes. No
yeah.
clue.
I mean, to be fair, every single Lion basically is getting Pro Bowl votes. But
That's
I mean,
fair.
but still, like, yeah, I think he's top 10 in linebackers. Like I said, the conversation, like where this guy was last year. So, okay, let's take it back to the draft. I was not a huge fan of this pick. Like I was fine with all the other ones in the 2023 draft, but this pick in specific, I was like, just drafting linebackers in the first round, like it usually doesn't work. Like it very
You
like
know, I
sometimes
was a fan.
some yeah, I know. Sometimes you get a Roquan Smith,
Yeah,
but I mean that's rare. Most of the guys are just like at best like average linebackers that you could have got in like the third round or the fourth round. But yeah, he's the jump he's taken this year has been insane. I mean, he's been the anchor of the defense. And yeah,
yeah,
like I said, I don't think there's enough good things I can say about him. He's been awesome this year, and like I just can't believe that where we are this year. Like I knew that things would get better. You know, last year was pretty tough, but you know, linebacker is it's a quarterback of the defense. It's the hardest position for processing on the defensive side of the ball. But yeah, he's been amazing, and thankfully, because I mean, if he was struggling, our linebackers would be really bad right now.
yeah. I mean, I think his pass, like, I think his pass defense has gotten a bit better. I mean, I
It
think that's
has.
kind
He
of the
was a good
biggest
run
thing from
defender
last
last year.
year.
Yeah.
He was a great run defender, but I mean, he had some trouble cover
Yeah, he
in
had a lot of
coverage. But
trouble. He wasn't good.
this year he's turned it up. I mean, I think that's kind of what the difference is this year. And I mean, I don't think he could really get better in the run game, but he has.
Yeah.
So I think, what we're going to talk about later with, Josh Allen, I think one of the key things to get out of this, kind of out of this preview is that I think Jack Campbell's going to he's going to be very responsible for the mobility of Josh Allen in this game.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Another guy, Ezekiel Turner, man. This is a
Yeah.
guy I had no idea who he was before he got signed to the roster, before he was on the practice squad. He had the game-saving tackle against Jordan Love, which
Hmm.
was a crazy good tackle against a good running quarterback out of the pocket. He had 91.8 PFF grade. I'm not sure how many snaps he had, but I knew it was limited. But like, yeah, it's just like a testament to how they can just get guys that are in like are like inferior like are inferior in talent to like their starters and perform at
Hmm.
like at least a baseline level. Like I know you
Yeah.
mentioned Al-Qadim Muhammad earlier. I saw a stat where it was like the top five in pass rush win rate or pressure to like pass rush rate or something like that. The top five was like Myles Garrett, TJ Watt, Trey Hendrickson, Micah Parsons, and then fifth was Al-Qadim Muhammad, which is just like,
Hmm.
yeah. I mean, you can't convince me that he is actually like as talented as those guys, but
Yeah.
when you have a culture like this, you can get guys that buy in. And
For sure.
Brad makes sure to bring like they don't bring guys who aren't going to buy in. Like every single guy in that locker room is going to buy in. Like they're so particular about who they bring in. So yeah, got anything else to add?
I mean, I think with Ezekiel Turner and Pat O'Connor and Dan Skipper, again, it's just the way that these guys are coaching. I think I don't want to speak about this now because it's kind of sad, but with the eventual departure of our DC and the OC, it can happen very very likely. So
Hmm.
I think what you're going to see next year out of their teams if they end up getting head coaching jobs, you're uh, you're going to see I think this mentality of next man up, and they are the full embodiment of it this year, and it's
Yeah,
awesome to see.
yeah. Okay, one more guy that I like to talk about. Carlton Davis. He had a huge punch out in this game that flipped the
Hmm.
game in the first half. He got burnt by Christian Watson, I think on like the second play of the first half,
Yeah.
but he still graded out really well. Uh I think he's like he's like a 73 something PFF grade, which is the highest of his career. And he is the number one graded cornerback in PFF since week 9. This is an interesting discussion. They traded a third round pick for him, and I think he's outperformed expectations in
Yeah.
Detroit. He's on a 1 year contract. What do you think? Do you think we're going to re-sign him? Like we're going to run out of money sometime, but
I mean, I've heard that we have great cap space. So I mean, not that he's too much money. It's just I think it's going to get to the point where you got to re-sign the guys next year and then the years after that because what Hutchinson is going to be up for.
Yeah, he's gonna be up for extension
Hutchinson's
this
going to,
offseason.
yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I think it's kind of an ongoing debate. I think we'll probably know more of an answer once the games start getting fewer and fewer. But for right now, I think that it's possible that he could move on. I think it's possible that we could sign him. I just have no clue.
Yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting discussion because it's going to be hard to let this guy walk, especially after you just traded for him. But
Hmm.
yeah, he's been really awesome this year. Another thing is like Kirby is Kirby is up for extension too because he was in the same draft class, and I think they would rather pay Kirby an in-house guy over Carlton. So,
Yeah,
and I mean
that's
Branch is
true.
eventually gonna Branch will be up the year after that. So, I mean it's a discussion. It's you don't really know what's going to happen, but it's interesting because it's going to be hard to let a guy like Carlton walk, especially with how good he's been this year.
Yeah,
All right, you got anything else to add about this game?
I think we wrapped it up pretty good. Again, just if you're a Lions fan, just stay the course with Dan Campbell. Okay, I mean, if you feel a little uneasy about fourth down calls, you got to get used to it because this is how this team's going to win games, and they have
Yeah.
been winning games this way. So just stay the course, and I think it's just a testament to what this team's been for 3 years and running.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Looking around the NFC. So the Lions essentially eliminated the Packers from their, I don't know how to word this, like
Their
their circle
delusional
basically.
dream.
Yes, I don't think it's delusional. I think Vikings fans. Okay, I'm thinking Vikings fans. Like if you're talking about the Vikings, and maybe. But yeah, the Packers are 9-4. The Lions are 12-1. So they're out of the NFC North running. They're out of the one seed runnings. Now it's really just the Vikings and somehow the Vikings just keep on winning and the Eagles. Let's start with the Vikings. You watch this game, right? The
Yep.
Vikings and Falcons.
Yep.
Okay, I can respect that. The Vikings are a playoff team. Like Sam Darnold has been playing really good. Every team that plays the Vikings just like forgets how to play football. It's honestly
I know.
crazy. I mean, I've seen it the last 2 weeks. The Cardinals were up by like two touchdowns in the fourth quarter or whatever, or late in the third quarter, and just completely blew it. Um, yeah, I don't know. They play the Bears Monday night. The Bears, as much as I love the Bears to beat them, I mean, they got, I
They're
mean,
not going to do
yeah, the
it.
Bears had 4 yards against the 49ers in the first half. Against like the 49ers might be, other than the Lions or compared to the Lions, most injured team in the NFL.
Yeah.
Are you worried about the Vikings at all?
I'm not
Winning the
worried about the
division?
Vikings. I like at the end of the day, I think this Lions team can beat the Vikings like 8 out of 10 times.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm
I
very
didn't think
confident
they
about
played
that.
good. I mean, I think they had a bad game against them earlier in the year, and they still won.
Yeah.
So,
And
yep.
just like I mean, I think if they lose to the Bills, it doesn't really matter too much. I mean, when it comes to like seeding in the conference and stuff
hmm
like that, we'll
This
still
is
be
the
number
game. If
one
they
if
were
we
to
lose
lose a
this
game,
game.
this is the one that they'd want to lose because it's the only non-conference game.
Yeah, I mean, that's why, at the end of the day, I think we control our destiny, and I think Dan knows that, and Dan's
hmm
gonna put that at the forefront. I think on everything he does. So I'm fully confident in this team to
Yep.
prevail.
Yep. Um, yeah. Like I said, I think the Vikings are good, but they're not 11-2 good, and they got an easier schedule. Props to them, but yeah, I know they play the Packers one more time. They play us, so I'm interested to see how they are. The one thing that I was thinking about, this is a little off topic, but like the Vikings and the Packers are probably going to be the 5 and 6 seed, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. And then like those two teams are going to be better than the NFC West and NFC South winner. So like
Yeah,
if one of
that's
those teams
true.
upsets them, like you know what I'm saying? Like we're like if the Lions get the one seed, then we're going to be playing like maybe I don't know. This is far out in the future, but I'm just saying the playoffs are going to be weird because I think that
Yeah,
the 5 and 6 seed are going to be better than the 3 and 4 seed. So I don't know. We'll see how it
that can
works.
get a
All right.
little loony. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's looking far ahead, but it is something I've thought about. All right.
yeah.
Eagles. Uh, barely beat the Panthers thanks to Xavier Legette. I know he's your favorite player, but man, that would have been huge if he would have held on to that ball. Um,
Yeah,
what is this? Does this change your perspective about the Eagles at all?
no, for sure it does. I mean, of course, your teams are teams. They're going to have bad games, but you never know with the Eagles. This is right around the time they implode, so
Yeah.
you never know with the Eagles. I think. Next, do you know who they play next?
They play the Steelers.
Well,
That's
that's
a
a
good
tough
game.
game. That's a really good game. That's going to be a tough game for them, especially
It's
with
at four
their
o'clock too.
high-powered
It's
offense.
so frustrating, man. They have the Bills and the Lions at 4 o'clock, and the Steelers and the Eagles at 4 o'clock. I want to watch that game. Why can't they make that a primetime game or something?
Yeah, I mean this is flex season, so we might be able
Yeah,
to see some flexes later on. But
yeah.
I mean, I think with this Eagles team, they might have just had a bad game. But if you're struggling to score 30 points off the Panthers, like
20. I mean, they were at
you
like
got
22.
yeah, they were at 22. They couldn't even get to 30. It's like if you're not scoring 30, I mean, I believe wholeheartedly the Lions could score 30 on the Panthers 99 out of 100 times. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I think this Steelers game will be a huge, huge test, and I think it'll be kind of the gauge I'll gauge them at with when it comes to the Lions. But I think they're starting to crack a little bit, especially with the whole Brandon Graham situation. Talking about AJ Brown in the locker room. It's like, dude, come on now.
Yeah.
Like that's not something you bring up. Like, dude.
Yeah. I mean, this has been my concern about the Eagles. Is that like there's not a very well coached team or their
Yeah.
head coach, and like like this hasn't been the first thing with like AJ Brown throwing a fit or someone, like another thing is I like I don't think Jalen Hurts is that good. Like
I
I don't think
know.
he's that like I when he can't get stuff going with his legs and he just has to play quarterback, like it can be rough, and it was rough in this game. Like
Yeah.
the things that people say about Lamar Jackson, like about how he's not very quarterbacky or like whatever that means, like I think like that stuff applies to Jalen Hurts. Like Lamar can sit in the pocket and throw. Guys like Josh Allen, guys who run Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, like Jalen Hurts struggles with that a lot. And I noticed that in this game. He was struggling moving the ball down the field against the Panthers, defense that is one of the worst in the NFL. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, this changes my perspective a little bit, but I don't know. I feel like you don't know what you're gonna get with the Eagles, though they are on like a 9 game win streak or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard for me to trust this team, but at the same time, I think they could win the Super Bowl, and I wouldn't be surprised. So I guess we'll see. I have to see
Yeah.
how
I
it plays
mean,
out.
I I think I've heard a lot of people saying it's too bad that these like the Lions and the Eagles aren't facing off in the regular season, but again, I think the Eagles are starting to unravel a little bit. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with them this next game, but I wouldn't be surprised if they go under a little bit.
Yeah, I think. Well, I mean, they don't play in the regular season, but I think these are the two clear-cut best teams in the NFC.
Hmm.
Um, so I mean, I think that's the overwhelming favorite to be the NFC Championship game right now. I do think, like, I I I do believe in the Packers. Like, I think the Packers are a good team, and I think the Packers could get there. I think like we've seen it. Like, I think they could knock off the Lions or the Eagles in the playoffs. But yeah, I mean, it does feel like we're on a collision course for Eagles Lions NFC Championship game. So
Yeah.
Good news is with that win against Green Bay, the Lions helped themselves. I mean, tremendously. Like seeding wise, this was the most important game of the year.
Yeah.
If they lose this game and Philly wins, Philly's in first. They have the one seed. But now with that, the Lions are they just need three wins. They have four games left, and if they get three wins, regardless of what else happens, they get the one seed and win the North. So yeah, pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add around the NFL or NFC or North, or want to make fun of the Bears a
Um,
little bit?
I mean, I sure as heck hope they can beat Minnesota. Like, I don't think it's gonna happen, but I mean, I put my pick down for them. But honestly, like, I don't know. I just hope Sam Darnold just sucks for once, but he's had a really good season, so who knows?
Brian Brian Flores is going to have Caleb Williams in hell. It's going to be bad. That game is going to be Caleb had, like he struggles under pressure and Brian Flores does like the weirdest, like he'll send three guys and then the next snap he'll send like seven guys.
Symbol seven,
And the
yeah,
Bears offensive line is not good. Like I
no,
I mean I don't have any faith in the Bears in general, but yeah, I don't know. I think that game is going to be rough. Like, as
yeah,
us cheering for the Bears. All right. Bills and Lions, 4:25, I believe, on Sunday. It's a game of the week. Actually, no, it's not. It's CBS, I think. It's Nance and
yeah, it's
Romo.
CBS.
Yeah, it's Nance and Romo. The Bills are okay. First of all, let's start with this because this is what the everyone is going to say. Is this the Super Bowl preview?
Yes, I
Okay.
mean, I think I put it down as my Super Bowl preview, like even before the season. So
Yeah.
I mean, obviously we don't know the future, but this is a highly likely Super Bowl preview. I mean, again, obviously the Bills have had troubles just getting it done in the playoffs, but you never know. It could be their year. So I wouldn't put it out of the question. But I all I know is this could be one of the best games of the year. So
Yeah. I think this is
it's
the
a
game of the year to me.
it's a really big treat to watch two massive games of the year. Like, I mean, I thought Green Bay Detroit would be, the game of the year, but then I looked ahead of the schedule. I'm like, oh shoot, we play Buffalo in 10 days. So yeah, I think it's going to be a treat.
I mean, who knows if both teams win out, or if the Lions lose a game, Minnesota wins out, week 18 could be for the North. That could be the game of the year. So we've had a lot of game of the years
Yeah,
so far. Um,
yeah,
I mean, even the first Vikings game, that was huge. It was like 5-1 versus 6-0 team or whatever it was. Either way, the Lions are 2.5 point favorites. It's basically just home field advantage. Uh, thank God this game is in Detroit and not in Buffalo. So we get an
yeah,
actual football game and not like just fumbles and because like those games are fun, but like when it's actually for something, like
yeah.
it's I wouldn't really want to play in those games. Um, the Bills are actually coming off a loss. They lost 44-42 to the Rams. Um, this was a shootout. The Rams were up big early and the Bills just would not go away. Josh Allen went absolutely nuclear. He had
Yeah.
342 passing yards, three touchdowns, 82 rushing yards, and three touchdowns, three rushing touchdowns. So,
I played him in fantasy.
yeah, I think I
That
saw he had like
sucked.
the best game of a quarterback in like fantasy
They
history,
get
I believe.
51 points or something like that. It's like,
Yeah, yeah, it was like
dang, dude.
51.8 points. Yeah, I had him in a league. I was pretty happy about that. I think I lost in that league still, which is insane, but
Jeez.
um yeah, the Rams, the big takeaway from this game is that like their defense looked not good. I mean, shocker, they
Yeah.
give up 44 points, but they looked really vulnerable. The Rams have one of the best offenses in the NFL when they have, their Stafford, Nakua, Kyron, and Cooper Cup. But like, yeah, the defense looked really vulnerable in a way that I don't think that really had this season before. I'm looking, they lost to the Ravens big early in the season, but they didn't give up more than like 30 points in since week 4. So another thing is Puka Nacua had a huge game
Hmm.
against them. He had 12 receptions for 162 yards. Um, yeah, it just goes back to the defense not doing great and Josh Allen just single-handedly carrying them back into that game. You got anything to
Yeah.
add?
I mean, the Rams secondary was just kind of decimated in that game, and their pass rush definitely didn't help out. I mean, I think this Bills offense, the way it's created, and the way the Rams defend with their linebackers, I just don't think they got too much linebacker help when it came
No,
to
they
stopping
their
Josh Allen on
linebackers
the
aren't
ground.
good.
So I think again that's going to be a big part in this game if the Lions are going to succeed in containing Josh Allen. So
Yeah. Um, this is an interesting game. I mean, I thought that the Bills were gonna win pretty easily. Then again, I mean, the Rams can beat any team in the NFL, like when they're on. I think they can compete
yeah,
with any team in the NFL. It's a team that I wouldn't want to face in the playoffs again. But yeah, all right, you got anything else to add, or do you want to move on to the keys of the game?
let's move on to the keys.
All right, what's your key or keys?
So my key to the game, I hinted at it before. I always hint at it. I think the key to the game is Jack Campbell is especially Jack Campbell. I shouldn't say exclusively Jack Campbell, but especially Jack Campbell is going to have to contain Josh Allen. Again, when you have a quarterback running for 82 yards, that spells danger. I mean, especially when you have a running back as good as James Cook. So the
Hmm.
Lions are definitely going to have to contain Josh Allen. I think I'm not sure, but we might get Pascal back. Are we? Do you know?
Oh yeah, that's another thing. Actually, let me interrupt you because I wanted to talk about injuries. I skipped over that. So
Dang it.
sorry. All right. Actually, you finish. That
Well, anyway, Pascal is going to come back. Pascal is one of those guys who can seal the edge and is really good at, being able to contain everybody to just within the pocket. I think that's going to be a big help for our linebackers and able to, just being able to contain Josh Allen. And I think my key to the game is just containing Josh Allen to the pocket and not having him run downfield for forever.
yeah. Um, all right. I agree. Now let's move on. Let's backtrack to the injuries. I'm gonna keep this short. Aleem was on concussion protocol. That was really the only injury sustained in the Packers game. Him, Decker, and Mosley were all full practice. Pascal and Levi were limited. Levi Onwuzurike, and Reeder was no practice. However, all of those guys are trending towards playing, from what I've heard. So great news,
That's good.
especially against an explosive offense. Um,
That's good.
yes. All right. Moving to my key. So when I was looking at this Rams game, I was looking for what was like the outlier, like what was something that the Rams dominated in, and the it was time of possession, really. The let's see if I can f find it. The Rams, I think, for had the ball for 38 minutes of this game. So,
Jeez.
which is just, I mean, that's insane. The Bills scored 42 points all on offense and they had 21 minutes of possession, which is something of itself. It shows
Jeez.
how explosive this offense is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think controlling the Lions, they had the ball for like 30, I think like 36 minutes against the Packers. Um, yeah, I think it's just controlling the time of possession. Josh Allen is he's the best quarterback in the NFL right now. He's probably gonna win the MVP. He's playing. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is the best, but he's playing the best out of better than any
Yeah.
quarterback in the NFL right now this season. Yeah, so just keep, slow, methodical drives, keep their defense on the field, and then yeah, I mean, Josh Allen make sure he touches the ball the least possible amount of time that he can, because
Yeah.
like I said, they scored 42 points and they had the ball for 20 minutes, so it's an extremely explosive offense. So yeah, I mean, thankfully the Lions are good at this. I think they're better than any other team in controlling the ball. I would assume. So it sure feels like
Yeah.
that. So yeah, I mean, we're not breaking any news here when like both of our keys are containing Josh Allen, but I mean, that's how you beat the Bills. Is
Yeah. That's for sure.
yeah. Um All right, I'm gonna actually bounce around to the Bills injuries now because I totally forgot the injuries. So Keon Coleman didn't play last week. I saw he was full practice. Dalton Kincaid, I don't think he played last week. He's full practice. Amari Cooper was on the injury report, but I think a lot of these guys are going to play. Their big one was Russell Douglas. He's their starting outside corner. Yeah, former Packer. He was in the Packers for a while. He was, I think he was limited, and that could be a big one, especially, I mean, the with a already depleted Bills secondary, which leads me to my non-score prediction of this game, and it is Amon-Ra St. Brown over everything. Um, St. Brown hasn't had a explosive game, like a truly like he's been good, but he hasn't had a great game since the Jaguars. When he had like 161 yards. He had 43 against Green Bay, 73 against Chicago, and 62 against Indianapolis, which is like fine, but I mean it's pretty underwhelming for him. Um, yeah, I mentioned that Puka Nacua went nuclear and had like over 150 yards, 160 yards. I think we can expect a true wide receiver one game from Amon-Ra St. Brown. It's
Hmm.
due, and yeah, I don't know. I don't think the Bills defense. I think the Bills defense is on the downswing. So I don't know. That's mine. Oh, my other. I have an extra one, and this is you can
Oh
honestly do
yeah.
this with any quarterback that the Lions, any rushing quarterback. But I was looking for the over for Josh Allen rushing yards. I couldn't find it. Whatever it is, over. I mean, like that's like
You
free
have
money.
no faith.
No, but every no, but like that's how the Lions play defense is like,
Yeah.
like it's just like they don't really do a QB spy or anything. So like their goal is to make quarterbacks, like they would rather
Beat
have
him
them
with the
run
pass.
than throw down the field.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like they give up more rushing yards. And I mean they used to just not be able to stop them at all, like all Justin Fields, but
Yeah.
every time the rushing quarterback goes over against the Lions. So all right, how about you?
For me, I think you brought up St. Brown, and I really hope he has a big game in this game because he hasn't really had one in a bit. But for me, I believe that this is going to be a Sam Laporta game a little bit because I
Hmm.
think their linebacking core is really kind of the Bills linebacking core is kind of depleted a little bit. Rousseau's a pretty good linebacker, but I think he's more of a rushing linebacker than
Yeah,
he is
he's
a
more of an
pass
edge
play
rusher.
linebacker. So it's kind of like their linebacking core has kind of been a little off. So I think I think when Laporta or I think when Goff needs to get out the ball quickly, I think Laporta is going to be his target. So I have Laporta with 60 plus yards with a touchdown in this game. I think it's going to be a Sam Laporta game. Not primarily, but I think it's going to be a game where he's going to be able to get the ball a lot.
Um, Matt Milano is their main off-ball linebacker. He's been hurt. He just came back 2 weeks ago against San Francisco. I don't think he's played a ton. He only had 5 tackles in the first game and three in the second, or last week. So yeah, I mean, it's a injured defense too, and a defense that honestly isn't that super talented to start with. So
Yeah,
yeah, I think Laporte is a guy he's been heating up a little bit these last few weeks. So
for
yeah,
sure.
it's a guy that you gotta count on to get going because, like I said, when you distribute with the Packers game, like distributing the ball to multiple targets is really beneficial because you don't know where it's going. The defense doesn't know who to defend. I'm looking at this prop and Amon-Ra St. Brown is 60. It's his line is 66 and a half. That like
Jeez.
yeah, that's low. I think that's not
That's
a
an
lock,
over.
but yes, yeah, I think that's an over. Like I'm looking at 5.5 receptions. Like yeah, that's my not score prediction is going to be a parlay. It's over Amon-Ra St. Brown everything because I think he's going to dominate in this game. Um,
Okay.
score predictions. Um, you want to go first? What do you got?
So for this game, I have Buffalo getting 27 points and the Lions getting 35. I think this is going to be a Lions
Wow.
win, 27 to 35. Now, I think the score is kind of, again, it's less reflective about how this game is going to like how the Bills are just going to. I don't think the Bills are going to lack. I just think it's a possession game. Like you said, I mean, the Lions, if they're going to win this game, it's going to be by time of possession. And I think the biggest defense for the Lions right now is just keeping Josh Allen off the field. And if you can contain this Bills offense to 3 touchdowns, you're going to have a very good likelihood of winning this game, especially with a depleted Bills defense. So I think this offense is, obviously our offense is dynamic enough. I think to get 30 plus points. So 35-27 is what I came up with.
All right, yeah. I have 28-27 Lions.
Yeah,
This game is like it just comes down to the defense. Like I think a healthy Lions, like if we get Pascal, Levi, Reeder, McNeil, all those guys back, I think this is a much better defense than the Bills is.
yeah,
So I don't know. I like it's hard for me. Like I almost like anytime the Lions play a decent team, I almost want to pick against them just because, like how long can this keep going? They've won 11 games in a row. And we're coming up. If they win this game, they're going to go 3 months without losing a game. Um,
yeah.
so yeah, I don't know. I'm going to get a line. I'm going to pick a Lions victory, but I think it's going to be really close, and I'm really excited for this game. Uh,
Me too,
got
man.
anything? Got anything else you want to add about the game or anything else in general?
Um, Again, I think if you're a Lions fan and if we do lose this game, it's not the end of the world. So
Yeah, I agree.
I think we just need to chill out a little bit when it comes to viewing this game as possible Super Bowl preview. Yes, but again, if we lose this game, that's just more of a reason if we do face them in the Super Bowl to beat them. So
Yeah.
I think there's a plus side to a win and loss in this game. So I can't wait.
hmm All right. That's all we got. We'll see you next week and go Lions.
Go Lions.